Hello, my name's Mary, and I'm the Director of Youth Services in the Children's Room at the Portland Public Library in Portland, Maine. And we're still not open to the public, so we're trying to join you through our programming online. And what we're doing right now is continuing to read our book. The book we're reading right now is called Welcome to the Bed Biscuit. This book is by Joan Carris, and it's illustrated by Noah Z. Jones. It was published by Candlewick Press in 2006. Now, just to remind you, Grandpa Bender helped save a critter during a fire at a farm right near his own. Some of his animal friends, Gabby the minor bird and Millie the young cat, are very upset that Grandpa's now spending an awful lot of time with whatever he's got in a box. Well, Ernest the pig is a little more considerate about Grandpa. And just before we finished last time, Grandpa went and got a baby carrier, and he had something in it, which he showed to Gabby and Ernest. It was a very, very young puppy who had been in the fire but had been saved by his mom. And Grandpa is trying to save the puppy now. So now here we are at chapter 7. Trying days. Gabby barged into the kitchen late that evening. The minute she saw Ernest, she started in. "I'm sick of this," she exclaimed. "Grandpa has no time for any of us anymore, and it's all that stinky Scotty's fault. Well, I'm here too. And I'm a gorgeous, exotic bird from Vietnam. I can talk just like a human. That ratty little dog says nothing. Now just think about that." "I'm thinking," Ernest said, backing away from her large, advancing beak. "Loudmouth crows! I hate crows!" Gabby shrilled. She opened her beak wide and made a rude sound. Ernest had a hunch that she would not move to the woods. After a bit, he said, "I thought of something a while ago. It had better be good." "Well, I was thinking back to when I came here. Grandpa wrapped me in a blanket and put me in a basket by the stove. He held me and fed me every few hours. Anna Lee McBroom fed me too." "Don't lecture me." "I was just remembering what happens with babies," he said mildly. "I was a baby here too, the only baby. Grandpa was all mine for 10 years. Then you came, and Millie, and now another one. Where will it end?" She gestured with one wing and nearly fell over. Righting herself, Gabby said, "Where's Millie?" Ernest inclined his head toward the stove. Gabby gazed into the dark stove corner. "You know this is silly," Ernest interrupted quickly. "Millie is thinking, Gabby. We can count on her to use her head. Let's go to sleep now. It's late." "Bossiest, most know-it-all pig I ever met, Gabby muttered, but she settled down on his blankets. In time, comforted by the place and by each other, they slept. 2 days crawled by. After supper, on the 8th day after the fire, Grandpa brought a tan willow basket down from the attic. He wrapped the puppy in a new red plaid blanket and tucked him into the basket near the stove. "Keep an eye on him, Ernest," said Grandpa. "I need a night's sleep with no interruptions. He should be fine there." Grandpa went to the back corner of the stove. "Can't see a blame thing," he grumped. "Millie, if you're there, I still need you to be my kitty. I love you, you know." He snuffled noisily. "And I sure hope nobody comes in while I'm talking to my stove. Blast it anyway." He petted Ernest and Gabby and practically ran upstairs to bed. The puppy did not move, and he made no sound. Ernest watched him and thought. "You're in my basket." Well, not really, he decided. It's probably the new baby basket for our whole family. He tried to remember if he had suffered like this puppy when he was new to the Bed Biscuit. Well, no, he'd just been lonely and scared. "Were you sick like this dog when you came here?" he asked Gabby, who was on her curtain rod already, eyes closed. "I have never been sick as a dog," she replied without opening her eyes. "You know what I mean." Okay. This is all very sad. I agree. Now go to sleep." Ernest nudged his blankets into nighttime position and gradually sank into a worried sleep. The moon had risen high over the house when Ernest awoke with a snort. There, sitting right in front of him, licking her left paw, was Millie. "Millie!" cried Ernest. He bounced up onto his haunches. "About time!" Gabby flapped down from the curtain rod. "Is that dog going to make it or not?" Millie asked. Ernest hated hearing that question. "We hope so," he said firmly. "Being in that basket is progress. That was my basket when I was new here." Millie slumped down on Ernest's bed. After a bit, she said, "I'm mad at him, but Grandpa's a very good human." "Go to the head of the class," snapped Gabby. "No arguing," Ernest pleaded. "Isn't it nice that we're all here together, just like old times? It's almost a party." "Party with no food?" Millie asked. "I'm hungry." Ernest jumped to his hoofs. With his snout, he opened the refrigerator. "Just hop up there," he told Millie. "See that nice roast chicken?" Millie leaped upward and balanced delicately on the refrigerator shelf. She gripped the carcass with her teeth and jumped down to the floor. "Oof," she said on landing. "This is a lot of chicken." "If it's too much," Ernest said, "I can help." "Get me a pear while you're in there," Gabby said. Ernest snouted open the crisper and removed a pear for Gabby and one for himself. "Party time," he said joyfully. The chicken and pears were soon eaten. Ernest put his hoof on the lever that raised the lid of the garbage can, and Gabby dropped in the chicken bones. Millie licked the floor clean. Grandpa was a stickler about tidying up after meals. After washing her face and paws, Millie crept around the puppy's basket. She moved in a crouch, ears flattened. "Tss," Millie said, then in case the Scuddy hadn't understood. "Millie," Ernest warned. Gabby tuned up. "You put your right wing in. You put your right wing out. You put your right wing in, and you shake it all about, you do." Millie glared at her. "What do you think you're doing?" "Lightening things up. Ernest said we were having a party." Ernest went over to Millie, who was much too close to the basket, in his opinion. "Come on, Millie. A dog can never take the place of a cat. Go snuggle up to Grandpa. He misses you." "Just look at that nice bed," Millie said. "And the special blanket. I didn't get anything like that when I came." "You were in Grandpa's pocket," Gabby said. "Next thing we knew, you were tearing all over the house, giving us palpitations of the heart." True, Ernest thought, remembering. "Think about that," he told Millie. "We didn't ask Grandpa for a cat, but you came, and now we cannot imagine life without you. See how it works?" Gabby squawked. "I never asked for a pig either. 10 years here. I never needed a pig for 1 second." She cackled noisily. "At least he doesn't snore very often." "Don't break your beak complimenting me," said Ernest. Slowly, Millie nodded. "Thank you. I'll think about it." And with that, she went back behind the stove. "Oh, for corn's sake," said Ernest. Gabby hummed softly. "You put your right wing in." The Red Plaid Blanket, Chapter 8. The next morning, Grandpa fixed everyone's breakfast, then sat down to feed the puppy. He was humming as usual when suddenly he yelped. "Ernest! Gabby! Come here! Look!" Ernest stared at the pup's damp eye slits. "I guess his eyes are open," Ernest thought. "But he's doing a lot of blinking. What a struggle he's having." From her perch on Ernest's head, Gabby went, "Ooh, dear, dear." "Okay," Grandpa said firmly. "We have to give you a name. How about Sir William the Hardy?" He was a great big tough old Scot. Ernest saw the puppy stop drinking. He gave Grandpa a dark, silent look. Grandpa laughed out loud, something he hadn't done since the fire. "Got me there, didn't you? You little short Scotty, you." Smiling broadly, he finished the feeding and wrapped the pup in his red plaid blanket. "Whoops, running late," Grandpa said after a glance at the clock. He left the kitchen and headed toward his office. "Let's go," Gabby said. "I belong in the office, too." "Oh, please," Ernest said testily. "I guess we might as well go. I need to be working. Helps me to think. We need to get back to where we were, peaceful, everyone getting along." On their way out, Ernest stopped at the dog's basket. "You just hang in there," he said. "This is a good place." pup's tiny squinched-up eyes stared vacantly ahead. Ernest wasn't sure the dog could see or hear. He didn't move, made no sound. He just lay there, wrapped in his Scotch plaid blanket. Cleaning and feeding the dog and cats filled much the morning. Grandpa had to shampoo the golden lab named Happy so he could go home. Happy jerked around and grumbled as the warm water soaked his thick, wavy fur. Ernest stood by. A bath is a beautiful thing, he told Happy. I shower many times a day in hot weather. We pigs don't sweat, you know. If I'm hot, I go to a shady place, Happy said. Baths are for humans. And pigs, Ernest insisted. Soon Happy settled down, for which Grandpa was thankful. He was sure Ernest had calmed the retriever. He knew that animals communicated in ways that only they understood. Ernest watched Happy leave in his human's car, then immediately trotted over to Sherlock's outdoor run. I can move Frou-Frou now. 4 stalls away, he told the hound. Who asked you? Demanded Frou-Frou. Ernest looked over at her, then back at Sherlock. You don't have to go to all that trouble, Ernest, drawled the hound. She'd be all alone over there, said Frou-Frou. We'll call you if we need you. Goodbye, little pig. Yip! Ernest decided that he didn't understand either Sherlock or Frou-Frou, and he didn't want to. He left, irritated at being called little pig. Of course, he thought, if I weren't a very small pig, I couldn't live in Grandpa's house. There are worse things than being a little pig, such as being a dopey chicken. At noon, Grandpa, Gabby, and Ernest went back to the house for lunch. I'll bet our wee bairn is good and hungry by now, Grandpa said, nodding at the puppy's basket. Well, shoot! Where's the blanket? Grandpa bent down, unbuttoned his flannel shirt, and tucked the puppy in against his chest. I guess it's back to the snuggler for you. But where in heck is your blanket? It can't walk. Nobody's been here. Grandpa headed toward the stairs in a hurry to get the snuggler. Bed, kitty, said Gabby. Bed, kitty. Ernest checked behind the stove. No Millie. Right away, he inspected the kitchen, the family room, the small half bath on the first floor, the dining room, seldom used since Grandma had died. Ernest examined his blankets. Everything downstairs was as sound as it should be, except for the missing red blanket. And cat, both gone at the same time. Gabby fluttered down to sit in front of him. Ernest, I have a million talents, but finding blankets is not one of them. It's up to you. Except for Grandpa, you're the smartest one here. Ernest was amazed. Gabby rarely complimented anyone. Together, they watched Grandpa come into the kitchen. He wore the puppy in the snuggler and began fixing lunches, as always. Gazing into the refrigerator, he said, "Where's my chicken?" "My chicken!" Gabby echoed. Grandpa moved things around in the refrigerator for some time before he gave up and set a package of bologna on the counter. "I sure don't remember finishing that chicken." While he made himself a sandwich, Grandpa groused about losing his mind. When he checked behind the stove for Millie and didn't see her, the look on his face darkened. Slumped on his blankets, Ernest thought, "Drat that cat." He hated to assume she had taken the blanket. Still, he thought, she could have. After the rest of us left for the office this morning, maybe she thought that without his blanket, the puppy would get chilled and sick, and then Ernest couldn't force himself to even think it. And now she doesn't dare come back, he decided. She'll hate herself for what she's done. She'll think she can never come home and be loved again. But that's not how families work. We understand. We just want her back. Chapter 9. The Magnificent Snout. Ernest began hunting for the blanket by taking a shower. A long shower always let him relax and think clearly. Finding the blanket will be easy, he concluded. It will smell just like the puppy, like a smoky barbecue grill. Carefully, he sniffed around the house's foundation, through the beds of dried-up daylilies, down the walk edged with purple asters. Romeo's "hee-haw" interrupted him. Ernest trotted over to the fence that separated the yard from the pasture. "Have you seen Millie?" "Nah, I don't think so." "Hee-haw, why?" Romeo's furry gray ears stood erect. "She's missing. Have you seen anything suspicious today?" "Hee-haw. What's that mean?" A suspicious thing is odd in some way. For example, you might get a feeding when it isn't time for one. Or there's a dog on your doorstep when you expected a cat. "Hee-haw. I don't have a doorstep." Okay. What I mean is, has anything different happened this morning? What did you see exactly? Well, I saw the cows. Grandpa's horse. Beauty. Those noisy crows from the woods. Lots of mice. Will that do? Ernest gave up asking subtle questions and went straight to the point. "Romeo, did you see anything red? Did you see Millie dragging anything, maybe carrying something in her mouth?" "You'd better tell me what the hay is going on." Ernest explained. "Yep, a catastrophe. Get it? Catastrophe." Brayed Romeo. "You folks need a new cat." "Just tell me what kind. Tiger stripe, black coat, alley cat, fancy long hair." "I got connections. I can get any kind you want." thank you, but Grandpa wants his own cat back. That's a human for you, Romeo hee-hawed. As humans go, Grandpa is the pick of the litter. Ernest turned and stomped off. Don't go away, Matt. Just go away. Romeo nearly fell over, hee-hawing. Smart Alec donkey, Ernest thought. He gives me a pain in the brain. Still angry, Ernest entered the barn. It had always been Millie's favorite place ever since Grandpa had found her here. Also, she liked keeping the barn free of mice. Ernest decided to ask the chickens first, though he had little hope of learning anything useful. You folks seen anything odd today? He began. The chickens clucked among themselves. One scruffy white chicken said, "Meh! What do you give us if we tell you?" "What do you want?" "What have you got?" "Well, nothing really. I just thought." "How about crushed corn?" The scruffy hen said. Her head tilted. She aimed one bright, hard eye at Ernest. "Well, I guess I could get some. Then you'll talk. Is it a deal?" "Deal! Pig! Get the corn!" Ernest backed away. "Just watch where you're pointing that beak," he said. He marched in a most dignified way to the feed room. Using his snout, he scooped crushed corn into an old pie pan. "I can't believe I'm bribing a chicken," he thought gloomily. A chicken! He set the corn in front of the chickens and said, "Okay, talk." The white hen said, "Well, this morning, Lolita gave an extra quart. That is very odd." She bent down to peck corn with the rest of the small flock. "That's it?" he squealed. "You think that's special?" "Can you give milk?" The hen had the sense to fly to the top board of a nearby stall. "Safe there," she said. "Any other questions, small pig?" Filled with fury, Ernest turned away. Chickens drove him crazy. He moved on, inspecting each stall for traces of Millie. He smelled the tack room, the feed room, the manure pile out back, even though it hurt his nose. He went back inside the barn and crunched an apple to help himself feel better. "I was counting on her being here," Ernest thought. He saw the ladder to the loft. But that was hopeless. No pig has ever gone up to a barn loft, he told himself. And I'm not going to be the first. Carrying on with the search, Ernest poked his snout here and there for the entire length of the woodpile and the blooming thickets of purple hearts. Grandma's overgrown flower beds made perfect hiding places. He pushed aside some yellow chrysanthemums behind the tall stone grill. Yes, sir, he thought. This grill has the right smell. He stopped short. His brain had finally given him an idea. Clever, he thought. How sneaky. I have to see what's inside that grill. With extreme care, hating every step, he climbed the pile of wood stacked beside the grill. Pigs are not meant to climb, he thought. We hate climbing. Do pigs do tricks on balance beams? Do we ever ride bicycles? Of course not. All four hoofs belong on the ground. At the top of the stacked wood, he poked his head into the grill. Ashes, hunks of old charcoal, bits of wood, all the normal stuff. He stuck his head in farther until his snout smarted with pain. Underneath the stone chimney was something bulky. Ernest inched forward until he got the thing in his teeth. It tasted of wood ashes, charcoal, and dirt. It smelled of smoke and puppy and milky formula. I did it, he exulted. He raised his head joyfully, the blanket gripped in his teeth. As the logs gave way and tumbled to the ground, Ernest tumbled along with them, but he never let go of the red blanket. When the logs stopped rolling, Ernest picked himself up, gave the small blanket a few good shakes, and headed for the house. He was tucking the blanket into the basket when Grandpa came into the kitchen. Grandpa saw the blanket right away. Look what our Ernest has found. Gabby flew in behind him, echoing, Look, look, what our Ernest has found. Ah! Gabby flew in. Ernest sat by the basket and felt proud. Grandpa set the pup in its basket, and the tiny dog sniffed his blanket. He sat down, eyes staring ahead. Jumping to his hoofs, Ernest snouted the blanket into place around the puppy. You just nap now, he told him. This is your very own basket, you know. We're your family. This is your home. Ernest, you're the best pig that ever was, Grandpa said. I wish I'd been there when you found that blanket and see how much good it did for our little laddie. Look how bright his eyes are getting. Well, no, Ernest thought. His eyes aren't bright at all, if you want the truth. But he knew Grandpa didn't want truth. Grandpa wanted hope. Gabby leaned over the table edge, gazed down at the puppy. She gave Ernest a doleful look and waggled her beak back and forth. Grandpa kept right on saying, What a pig, thumping Ernest on the back. Ernest went right on feeling proud. Such a nice feeling. After a bit, Grandpa said, Now, if only we could find Millie. And that's where we're going to end today. We will finish our story tomorrow. We've been reading Welcome to the Bed Biscuit by Joan Carris, illustrated by Noah Z. Jones. The book was published by Candlewick Press, and it was published in 2006. So I'm so glad you were able to join us, and I hope you'll be back tomorrow so that we can finish up this book. Until then, bye-bye.